Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium, numerologist, healer, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there is always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello, everybody. Hi. Welcome to another episode of the Psychic Hour. I'm Kelly Brickle on Sacred Spiral Network, and we are doing an interview show today. And we have the wonderful Michael Christopher in the house. He's a psychic and a medium, and he really focuses on evidential mediumship. And so he has a fantastic story too. So I'm excited to talk to him about his life and just to hear the energetic perspective of what it means to be an energy sensitive person within the world and how we go about it, because we go about it all so differently. So many similar veins, but we're all so different with how we choose to be intuitive and how we choose to lend our gifts to others and how we walk within the world. We come from so many different backgrounds and we're all returning to spirit, but we get to do that in our own fun, confusing, perplexing, aggravating, liberating way. So I say that with a lot of heart. Hello, everybody coming on in. Hello, Stephanie, Keith. Hello, Michelle. Hello. Thank you for coming and saying hi. You can pop down where you are or just share your love. So the topic of the day I kind of really wanted to go into was really focusing on the reminder that Earth and us and our reality is the invitation to learn. It's really a collective of lessons and celebrations, but it is that invitation to learn. So when we wake up, whether we are just rocking it and having a really good time with our current goals and who's in our life, really vibing it, or feeling, gosh, it's really not going exactly to plan. Or what a weird day. Uh, we have these nudges within us: do this, do that, look at this, go that way. And life is so overwhelming that it is difficult for us to listen in all those places, even if we're listening to spirit, even if we're listening to our soul. Um, Spirit sometimes does remind us of the 20 things we have to do, not all at once, but they go, great. All right. So you're doing that within your work. Are you doing this within your family? Great. You smiled at that person who needed the smile. You got to call your friend, right? Oh, don't forget to email that person. Uh, um, that idea in your head, you're gonna lose it if you don't write it down within the next week. So there's all these little nudges from spirit that help open up our life. And we're not supposed to, be perfect. We're not supposed to get it all just, okay, I aced this and I aced that. I listened to spirit with this, I did that. Okay, the perfect day, juggling. No, it's just, I really do feel that spirit trains us and we train ourselves with how we are using our energy. So there's always something to do. And it's always, I feel, helpful to return to the philosophy of the lesson, because sometimes I go, what am I doing with my life? That didn't go to plan. It's not supposed to. We're literally in, you could say, a mechanism. You could say, a place. Um, Gosh, all of a sudden I want to say that word and it's like it's like floating out of my head. But we're in a space that cultivates us to grow and change. So we really have to pat ourselves on the back no matter how it's going and being like, wow, this is a day that really brings up the change. My goodness, my emotions are getting pressed or I'm numb because I just can't take it anymore. And I guess mission successful, I'm getting pressure cooked like a diamond. Hopefully, it's a nice a nice diamond afterwards. I want to say hi to everyone coming into as well. And please, pop down any questions or comments. We have Michael on, or just with the conversation, because I know people can relate to these feelings. I really know, everyone is just, we're going through it together. So, hello, Joni. Hello, Allison. Hello, Fran. Hello, hello, Jessie Cat. Hello, Angela. Hello, Lyra. Hello, Cheyenne. Hello, everybody. Someone is saying, yes, this was my day today. Spirit telling me to do things, and it didn't go as planned. Yeah, yeah. But it's funny. I do really believe in the paradox of it all. Like it does go as planned because we're supposed to be going that direction, even though we're like, wow, that's not how it looked in my head. That's not how I hoped it would feel within my heart, my body. That's not what I was going for, but I do feel like it always cultivates us to get more familiar with an energy. So if it's natural, it continues to stay. If it is supposed to continue to open up, it's just there to teach us rather than, yeah, that was it. It was supposed to meet me exactly like this. I'm one with this person. I'm one with this accomplishment or this opportunity, or I'm one within this understanding. No, the energy was meant to attract you and just teach you something. And sometimes we go, why did I need to learn that? My goodness. I don't want to learn that. Um, so I do think that no matter what we do, we have to go, what is the lesson? If we find ourselves overwhelmed, if we find ourselves despondent, if we find ourselves depressed, and these are emotions, these are natural human emotions. Your life could be going great, but something odd happened, and you can feel depressed sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. You can feel angry, you can feel sad if you have a wonderful life, if you're grateful for your life, and you're just like, why am I feeling these things? And if we ever go into the lesson of it and we just start journaling or talking to ourselves, we start talking to spirit, we talk to our higher self, we cultivate that, all these really interesting things come forth of, hmm, okay, well, when I look at that, suddenly I'm met with more thoughts and ideas, and that can be really frustrating too. But that is where all the juice is. And you kind of want to squeeze the juice because it's overfilling from your cup. You're feeling emotional, you're feeling odd, you're feeling, wow, not according to plan. But everything is rising, so you can't miss it. You're not supposed to miss it. So we always think like, oh gosh, if it's sparkly, can't miss it. We go to the sparkle, we go to the gold, we go to the shimmer, we go to the lights, right? But it's coming up sometimes like a festering wound. And as a healer, you can kind of, have compassion with that and go, oh, this one's a doozy. This one's oozy. But it's made not to be missed because there's lessons in it all, and everything has meaning. Everything has meaning. And if you go, okay, I've been so blessed that even in the distraction and the unfortunate nature that I have this current perspective of, there's always a purpose connected to it. Whether another person, whether directly to myself, there's always something for me to go, okay, now I see the vista, so I'm going to do something different. Or I'm going to change myself. Or, my goodness, the final thing I want to say is when we go really, really deep, hello, everybody. I'm just going to say hello again. When we go really, really deep, because things haven't gone to plan. Oh no, I hope I didn't just, oh my God, I just blocked Debbie. Oh no. Debbie came in to say hi. Hello, Debbie. And we had people trying to solicit readings, and I just blocked Debbie by accident as I was doing that. Debbie, if you could, Debbie can't see me anymore, but I'm sorry, girl. We'll try to unblock you. Oh my goodness. Okay. Um. So I love someone's like, I feel this to my core. I woke up mad and everything went downward from there. Haha, no idea why. So I just stayed to myself today. And to call back our energies, absolutely, to call back our energies, because when everything is going topsy turvy, what really is helpful is to let the energy rise, and it's going to take you to random points within your timeline. It's going to take you to random points within um, who you are as a person, and those are the shimmers of, hey, you forgot about this part of me. Hey, you forgot about this that happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 2 weeks ago, because you were so stressed out at the time. You were so going through at the time. And so it reconnects parts of ourselves. So the final thing I want to say is when we're going through it and we go, this is not working, this is not for me, all it is an invitation, I really believe, and a lesson waiting. Okay, I have to reconnect another part of myself to make this make sense right now, because the current part of me, it's not working. And I'm not lost. My spirit's not lost. My soul's not lost. I feel lost as a human. But let's go reconnect a part of me where I go, oh yeah, that's who I am. And oh yeah, that power that I'm looking for, oh, that's been within me, but I lost sight of that at that point in my life. And it's time to jumper cable, restart it. So with that said, I love that people can understand some of these feelings within the comments. Okay. All right. Let's bring Michael Christopher on. Everybody, let's go. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Poor
Everybody.
Debbie. Poor Debbie.
I know. I know. That's what I'm thinking too. I'm like, oh no, can we?
I've done the
can we,
same thing on StreamYard. I went to block a spammer and I was like, oh no, I deleted somebody.
Because it moves, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my goodness. One of our really good friends just got, drop kicked
She got the
into the
boot.
internet, like stratosphere.
Oh, poor Debbie. We love you,
Poor
Debbie.
Debbie. Yeah, we love you, Debbie. Shout out to her. For everybody that is coming on in, and whether you know Michael Christopher or not, I want to give him a warm introduction. So, Michael Christopher works as an evidential medium. He believes in compassionately sharing his gift with others while also opening those to their gifts that they possess. Everyone is inherently intuitive and able to feel spirit, he believes. Michael's story is probably one not always heard about. He was not immediately aware of his abilities since he was young, quite the opposite. For most of his life, the awareness of any spiritual phenomena, ghostly activity, or sensation was nowhere to be found or on his radar. For the most part, he had a pretty normal life. It wasn't until Michael was in his 40s that he began to subtly become aware that something beyond was beginning to become present. About halfway through his 20-year career in the United States Air Force around the year 2000, Michael was diagnosed with a form of kidney disease. He was then told that more than likely it would progress and need a transplant. This news completely rocked his world, and he began to find himself doing an awful lot of soul searching and constantly trying to make sense out of everything. And looking back now, Michael feels that medical situation was the spark and possibly the reason for putting him on the path he is now, to being a medium. With that said, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is a full circle story of, you're like, I can't do anything but really be in the mindset of, what does everything mean? What is going on?
And that was it. That was a very large lesson at the time. And that was just, a smidgen, without going into too much detail along between that, I'll say 97 to 2015, not only did I go through the kidney issue, but, they did fail. I did go through a transplant. But at the same time, along the way, I lost two of my brothers to complications from cystic fibrosis. And then my sister was murdered in 2015. So again, it's a long story, but being diagnosed out of nowhere, it kind of just like, what just happened? And it sends you searching for answers, and the most important one is what's beyond? Is there anything beyond this? And it's funny, at the same time, I found John Edward on TV. And for anybody who doesn't know who John Edward is, he is a psychic, but he also had a TV show back in the 2000s where he come on and did, readings. So that was my first exposure to a medium. And just watching his show gave me so much peace and comfort, knowing that, okay, if things don't go as I hope, maybe there's something beyond the physical world, you know? So yeah, it was a crazy, crazy time, but it taught me to live in the moment. We all talk about, you got to just live in the moment. Tomorrow doesn't exist. I literally had to force myself to live that way. I couldn't allow myself to let my mind wander to what if this happens or what if that happens. I mean, it could completely deflate any motivation a person would have to do anything. And I made a decision really quick. I'm like, okay, I just have to deal with this. And literally every day I had to check in with myself and just say, okay, how you doing today? And the answer for 10 years was perfectly fine. It didn't really affect me physically. It was the mental battle of keeping me in that mindset of don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow's not here. Just enjoy your life. Nobody's guaranteed tomorrow anyway. So huge lesson.
What got you from don't worry about tomorrow, it's going to take care of itself, to, oh my gosh, I think I'm a medium?
So again, going through that 15 plus years of just the ups and downs of losing, my brothers and my sister. And it was after my sister. When my sister passed, it was probably a few weeks after her passing. It's been a while now, but I had my first experience with a visit, but it wasn't while I was sleeping. I was getting up for work and I was in the kitchen by myself. And I just felt like somebody walked in the room. I turned around and nobody was there. I was like, that's odd. Went back to doing what I was doing. A few seconds later, I felt the energy again, but this time in my mind, I saw my sister standing behind me and I was just like, what is happening? And what I saw in my mind, I was feeling energetically at the same time, but she walked up behind me and she kind of put her arms around me and put her head on my shoulder. So I'm seeing this in my mind, but I'm feeling the energy at the same time. And it was just freaked me out because I'm like, what is happening? And a few seconds later, maybe 20 seconds, it kind of dissipated. And I don't think I talked about it with anybody for about a couple weeks because I was like, was that real? You know, um,
Understandable.
yeah, it was crazy.
Did that start happening more, or did you just go, okay, I got to research this?
No, it was kind of like, talk about fate. So her murder went unsolved for almost 2 months. And one day while I was working out, I watch YouTube a lot, and I found this medium channeling this woman's son who had committed suicide. And I was just like, wow. And I saw the website. I went to the website after I finished working out and I saw this caption of, we have psychics that work on these unsolved murders. And I was just like, okay, clicked on it. Again, I'm speeding up because it's a long story, but I reached out. I just simply asked, is there anybody here that can point me in the direction of working with somebody? Here's what I have going on. And two ladies reached out to me and we just started talking. They didn't ask a single thing for me. We just started talking about things. They were giving me what they were feeling. And it was during one of those conversations, a side conversation on Skype, that I finally said to my friend Linda, I was like, I had this experience and I didn't give her any details. And she validated what I experienced that day in the kitchen. She goes, that's real. And now probably 2 weeks later, I was on another call with her while we're talking. Okay. I'm not a medium at that point, not even thinking about it. While we're talking, I hear this voice in my head say, tell her it's Jim. And I was like, where the heck did that come from? I ignored it. We kept talking. I heard it a second time. I ignored it again. Third time, it's like, I passed the cancer. I was finally like, Linda, I said, I don't know what's happening, but I have this voice in my head say, tell her it's Jim. I passed the cancer. And she goes, that's my father. And I was like, what? She goes, you're a medium. I'm like, no, I'm not. You know?
Well, now we're
Yeah.
here.
So if, 15-minute argument back and forth. And she finally convinced me that, hey, I know this great teacher. Take this just beginners, just development class, just see what happens. And that's what put me on the road to like, all right, this is real. This is real.
Yeah, I mean, those are very specific instances. Um, and did you find that the audio, the hearing part of things was the first to find you? Like within your mediumship, or did you see the scene, or how did it continue to develop after you were in classes and you're like, okay, I think this is real?
Yeah. And it's been a while, but I remember first, I think it was the clairaudience and clairvoyance that were really prominent in the beginning. And it's weird, but everybody has a natural talent. Some people are good at music, some people are good at sports. This was, for me, it just felt so natural in the way things just developed. I don't want to make this sound easy because it wasn't. It's been a lot of work, but it just came so naturally to me. Um, and it was just a matter of refining things along the way. Um, Now to the point where I don't even think how I'm getting the information. It's just there. So it's like true clairvoyance or sentience to me is when everything works together. And that's the point I'm at now. I don't really take time to think about how I'm getting it. It's just there. But again, that's taken, 9 years of just constantly developing. And I never, nobody stops. We keep going, right? So I'm always pushing myself to learn more and dig deeper. So
Um, do you find that it was a chore to turn off your brain?
no, actually, this is
That's
I
great.
I I had some really good teachers, and that was one of the first lessons. One of the lessons was she's like she holds up this notepad. She goes, "Tonight you need to write out your boundaries with spirit." She's like, "For instance, you're not allowed to visit me in my bedroom when I'm sleeping. You're not allowed to visit me when I'm at work." So that was like one of the first exercises is like establishing a boundary with spirit. And she also taught me this thing about the closed door on the top of your head. It's just a mind thing. You visualize it closing, that's their sign, stay away. And that was great in the beginning. Now it's just when I'm not working, I'm not working. I'm not in that space. I'm not thinking about it. I'm oblivious to anything going on spiritually when I'm not doing this work.
Yeah.
And again, that's
Yeah. And
just
then
taking discipline and training.
on the flip side, when you are doing the work, did you ever also find that your mind was coming into it, or no?
Oh yeah,
Did
I
you?
think I think it's always there, and again, it's that development and discipline that you just push the mind aside when you feel it nudging its way in, and that can take the form of self-doubt or, questioning what you're getting. When I feel I just like ignore it. Again, it's just like, nope, that's the rational mind trying to push its way in, and it's just like, no. It's like, take a hike, dude.
Yep, you gotta train that brain. I know it really is. You gotta tell your energy what you're gonna permit it to do
Mhm.
before you go. Okay, and I relax now, but we're not gonna do this before I relax.
Right.
um, I find this really interesting. This question from just a preference even perspective. Stephanie asks, do you read better one-on-one or in group setting? And I think that's an interesting question because I do think it's just I think it's preference, and I do
Mhm.
think our energy works in different ways, and some people really love, the one-on-one, almost like the intimacy of going in deeper, and some people love I can bounce around, some people like the energy of the crowd. Everyone's so different. So do
Yeah.
you have any interests more in one way or another, or fun, etc.?
So so I'm quite the odd person. I'll just say that. I put myself in uncomfortable situations all the time. I did my first group reading literally 2 months after I learned I was a medium. It was just this pure circumstance of someone asking me, and I was like, "Sure, why not?" and then realize what I just did, but I did it. It was so uncomfortable, but it's like, wow, this was amazing. So I started off actually doing group readings first and then forcing myself to start doing private readings because I enjoyed the energy of a group reading so much. Um, and I just had to force myself. It's like, no, I gotta start doing these one-on-ones because I mean that's important. So yeah, but now it's like almost equal now. I enjoy both very much.
I think that, yeah, you're kind of just guided wherever you need to go, and you go, I don't know why I'm here, but then
Yeah.
it's just like, I guess this is working for me.
Yep, and I mean, I'm a nervous wreck no matter what setting I'm in, whether it's a private, a group. I mean, the day before, if I know I have readings lined up, I'm like, I just have to go to that happy space and just like that's tomorrow because I just get so anxious. But I think for me, that's a good thing. It's like my gauge of I'm doing the right thing for the right reason. Because if I ever lose that nervousness, I feel that that's a time for me to step back and go, okay, why is it so comfortable now? Because to me, it's like I feel I'm nervous because I want to do the absolute best job that I can do. And I think it's just part of that. So I've just learned to live with that, and it's my fuel.
Yeah, I think, it's the vibration changing, and it's like your cue in a way, like, okay, it's on and popping.
Yep.
Um, but sometimes, I guess, have you ever gone to a group where it's just calm and you're like, what is going on?
It's never been that way. I
Yeah.
I usually I wish it was, but no, there's like because I usually feel the energy of maybe the spirit people starting to show up. Because I mean, I think they orchestrate this more than we are aware of. So I think it's just an all around it's just an excitement in the energy knowing that something's happening. So I think that's just how I rationalize it.
Yeah, hey, I welcome the consistency of the spirit world.
Yeah.
There's been times where right, all of a sudden I'll be calm rather than nervous, and I'll be like, well, that's a different feeling. Or they won't show me a typical order of something. Like they'll take away all my sight and they'll just do sounds, or they'll take away other, sensations, and I'll be like, this is very strange feeling, but okay. Okay.
They have to keep us on our toes. I feel when that happens, and that was another lesson I've learned along the way that I have no expectation. I don't look for certain, clairs to start kicking in because I just follow their lead. I don't literally when I say is again, it's taking a lot of time, but zero expectation. I don't go into a reading going, all right, you need to tell me who you were, how you passed, how old you were. If I sit down with a client and the person's spirit, I will immediately feel male or female. That's always been a constant. But if I feel a man step forward and he starts talking about a cheeseburger, I'm like, I'm talking about a cheeseburger because this dude's
Cheeseburger,
stuff.
yeah.
And I'll just go into it from there, and I will present any thought that touches my mind, I talk about it. So it's not for me to make sense. It's not my message. I'm just their phone. So your dude's here and he wants me to talk about a cheeseburger, and then I'll go into the evidence from there. But again,
That
it's
is
just,
evidence, though.
yeah, yeah,
The cheeseburger's the evidence. No, no, hey, I think that's the way to do it. Another question from Stephanie.
yeah.
Do you read better when you're holding something of the deceased? Another preference question.
No, actually, I'm pretty level on all. I've done psychometry, um, and I don't know. I'm trying to think back because it's been a while, but to me, it's all the same. I really don't notice any difference between holding somebody's object or just going into it with them. So for me, it's
Yeah.
just, yep,
Yeah.
it's the same.
Some people really love it. I'm
Mhm.
not a psychometry person. That's like it's sure, I've done exercise and I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting," or "Oh, cool." And I absolutely believe in psychometry. I think some people are amazing with it.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just it's not my gateway in. It's just not my gateway in, but it can be a gateway. So
Oh
again,
yeah.
if someone if someone handed you or me an object, I'm a firm believer of, wow, okay, today it worked.
Oh yeah, and again, it's just the intention, you know. And it's funny because I just had a flash memory. I was at a dem and somebody handed me something. So I start giving them the information off of it. I'm like, "Does any of this make sense?" And she goes, "Well, I don't know. It's not mine." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, I just found it." I'm like, "Well, sorry if it's not you or the person you want to connect with, then this means nothing." But it was just funny because I'm like, "Okay." But no, it's been
Gotta make
amazing when I've
sure.
done them. Yeah.
Gotta make sure. I do find that, and I know spirit is intelligent. So when we're really on fire, they take us to a higher place where it all connects.
Yeah.
But there are times where whether it's an object or a memory, um, you go, grandma was like this, or father was your father was like this, or your brother was
Mhm.
like this, and they'll be like, well, I don't know, I wasn't with them for that part of it.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, hold on, what do you know? Like, don't tell me what you know, but I have to ask now, did you know them from this period to this period? Were you around? Like, there has to be some kind of, where are we? I can't just be giving you stuff. But sometimes it's just like, I trust that it's all supposed to be there, and they'll get really curious, and they'll tell you no, and they'll be like, I just called my aunt and then they told me because they knew about that and I didn't. And so it all comes together, but sometimes you're just like, hold up, in order for you to listen to me so you don't check out, I need to
Yeah.
break this down for you.
Yeah. And again, I find, like you said, spirit's intelligent. And I, to this point, I trust spirit more than I trust the person sitting in front of me, because we all get that that deer in the headlight look when things start coming through. I mean, I've been on the opposite side of a reading where I'm the receiver and my memory sucks. I don't remember dates. So I have empathy for people that are sitting for a
Yeah.
reading that forget everything about themselves. I mean, I did a reading, again, another group reading, where I brought this father through and he started talking about swimming pools, in-ground swimming pools. And the three ladies were looking at me like I grew a third head. And they're like, no, no, no. Some lady 2 rows back raised her hand. She goes, "Can I just say something?" I'm like, "Yeah." Well, she knew the three ladies. She goes, "What do you guys do for a living?" She goes, "Oh, we own a company where we install in-ground swimming pools." And they all look at me and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Hey, that happens. It really, I've seen it happen. I've experienced it happening. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Oh my God, those moments are precious because I yeah, they're good because it just gets people laughing too. When it finally clicks and you're like, "Oh my God."
Like, one of my favorite ones are like, oh, can you take the name John? Can you take the name, Jonathan? No, I have no idea who that is. You don't have anyone in your family named that? Oh, well, my father's named John. Just, you know, just when it's right, or the swimming pool, it's just like, it is right smack. It's right smack there.
And
Um,
my
Go ahead,
problem
go
is too,
ahead.
being in the military for 20 years, sarcasm is a second language. So I've really had to tone it down when I have those moments, just like, don't say anything, because you're just like, "Are you kidding me?" But again, it's fun. It's fun.
It keeps the vibration high
Oh
if,
God,
like,
yeah.
you can laugh about it because you're like, "Oh my goodness."
Oh yeah.
Um, I know that you're super passionate about, like, evidential mediumship, and, what does that mean to you exactly with what you've discovered within your work of, how you want to present that to people?
So from the very, I'm a skeptical person, always have been, always will be. I mean, my career field, air traffic control. I mean, that's like type A personality. You got to show me it. It's got to make sense. So I fight that. But when this first started, basically I sat down and I talked to spirit a lot, like a lot of us do. And I'm basically like, all right, look, dudes, I don't have time to learn symbols. you got to give it to me straight, because one, I don't have the attention span or the patience. And number three is, you got to prove this to me. We're not just going to talk about fluffy bunny feet and rainbows and unicorn farts. You got to give me stuff that validates your presence or who you are, or I'm out. It was literally like that. And I can say spirit does not disappoint. And I want to mention too, because we drop a lot of labels about what we do as mediums. We're psychic mediums, we're evidential mediums, we're this, we're that. To me, I think it's just a name. I think we all do the same thing. It's just we do it in a different way. Some abilities are a little bit higher, in our awareness, but I think everybody can strive to to get the evidence. And it takes a lot of courage. You have to be okay with being wrong, and you're not necessarily wrong. It's misinterpreted sometimes, but I think you got to push yourselves to that point where, like I said, when you see it, feel it, hear it, you say it. Don't question it, let it go. And you will be surprised how often that connects when you don't take that second to rationalize what you're getting.
Have you had moments, let's say, because we all have different, I guess, calendar comfortability from year to year or day
Mhm.
to day, week to week of, wow, I feel really in my power. I feel very connected to the spirit world. Have you had moments where the the evidence comes in, but there's a knowing inside of you where you go, oh gosh, I feel like I'm not getting all of this, even though
Oh, there's
they're telling me it. I
yeah.
feel like I'm getting a piece of it, or they're telling me it and I'm not able to pick this one up exactly.
Oh yeah, I think that that happens. Um, and it's something I've gotten used to, that I try to think of it this way, that, when their energy, the spirit person blends with ours, everything about them is there in that energy. It's our human mind that can only comprehend so much at a time. So I think that's what we're experiencing. It's like you get these fleeting just moments of, okay, there it was. If I show you really quick what was in my hand, it's a pen, but that's how quick it is. So it's just grabbing on and doing the best you can with what they're giving. But yeah, there's definitely those moments that you're like, okay, I should have dug in a little bit deeper. And again, with my rationale and mentality with this is, I had to just discipline myself that once the reading's over, it's done, pack it away. Don't go back and try to think, "Oh, I should have dug into that more, deeper." I believe that in that moment, everything that should have come through will and has, if that makes sense. But yeah, I've definitely had those moments.
Yeah, you have to trust it sometimes when it's all going wonky
Yeah.
and you go, okay, well, it's a trifecta. It really is. Of the sitters here, yeah, you're the medium. Yeah, you're holding space. Yeah, you are leading the energy for the sitter, but spirit's leading us. And
Mhm.
spirit brought you there for that reason, or brought me there for a reason when we're doing our mediumship, when we're doing our psychic work. And sometimes some of the healing is for everyone involved. And you're
Yeah.
like, didn't want this, but I guess we have this today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Um, it's a discipline to really suppress that ego and kick it out of the way. And remember, this isn't about me. This is about spirit. That person sitting there across from me, and my ability to just separate my human from the experience and just talk. So you got that triangle. If any one of those breaks down, and I'll tell you right now, it's always the medium's fault when that happens. It's never the sitter, it's never spirit. It's the person that, I did something I shouldn't have. I tried to understand or whatever, but my human got in the way, and that's where it breaks down. And then you just go back and reestablish.
I'm a firm believer on that. It is never the sitter's fault. It is never spirit's fault. It is the medium's
Oh,
fault, even though
100%.
we're human. We're
Yeah,
very, very human, and we can't throw rocks at ourselves, but we just go, for whatever reason, it didn't work. I'm so sorry. Or for whatever
yeah,
reason, I'm not able to get this out, but that's on me. That's on me. And
exactly.
um you gotta just, that's your job, right? You don't, if
Yeah,
someone comes to you for a job, you don't go, well, spirit wasn't in the house today.
yeah.
No.
No,
No, I'm a firm
no,
believer in that. I
no.
agree with you, Mike.
And the thing is too, and this is something I learned, it's like if I have a session where I don't think I did the best I am capable of, I stop the session and I refund the payment because it's like I don't want them thinking that this was how a reading normally goes. And
Yes.
it happens. I mean, and I've made peace with that. It's like I have that's just me. If it's not working, it's not working. And usually within 10 minutes, if I haven't made a meaningful connection, that's usually my point where I'm like, something's not right today. I'm not right today, whatever it is. And I just go through it, like you said, and I apologize, but it is what it is. I'd rather have them upset with me ending a reading than them going away thinking that reading sucked.
Well, and also them thinking that that's what mediumship is sometimes, and it's just like,
Yeah.
and you show them truly what it is. Sometimes it works, and sometimes there's other factors at play. And you saying, "Hey, like, it's not just I snap my fingers and it works always. I'm going to be
Yeah.
very honest with my experience, and yes, maybe this was unexpected, but like you keep your integrity. You keep your
Yeah.
integrity. And that's a big deal. Um, I do feel like, yeah, it changes so much within us sometimes, what happens with us as the medium, us as the psychic.
Yeah.
And it asks, have you ever had someone you couldn't read?
Um, no. Um, I think it's been a bumpy, like we were just talking, and I think it was one of those. Spirit has always been there. Um, and again, it's just for whatever reason, it just went awry. But I've never been able to make a connection, but sometimes they're not consistent throughout the reading. It's just that it's just spotty, too spotty for me at times. But no, Spirit's always there. They always show up. I'm the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like when there's a knowing or there's a willingness within our psychic mediumship. The only obstacle I have found is if like I'm sick or there's something going on with my body or I'm just really really like stressed and I felt like spirit was telling me to take a break or something like that. It's
Yeah.
something that's going on within our energy. So it's not like, "Oh, I felt really good today. Why is it not working?" Or I felt like I could connect with you. I feel like as long as we're healthy, a lot of natural things do happen. A lot of just
Yeah.
everything's kind of there, just waiting for us to just go, okay, and now I agree to do this.
And that comes with your development, learning your how you operate, learning that, okay, can I still read if I'm really, really tired? And some people can. I mean, it's weird that sometimes when I'm really like exhausted, sometimes those are the best readings. I don't know why. Um, so it's just kind of, and it's funny too, because I can be in one mood before the readings that the moment I sit down and I start talking, it's like all those physical symptoms that I thought I had are gone. It's just me, spirit, and the person. And it's like energizes me. So it's interesting. This work never fails to just like shock me in some way.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think, um, in every single circumstance, um, it can happen. Like, the miracle of connection can happen. And there's some people that I'd be just some people are like, I don't care how I feel. I just know spirit. Like they'll pick up the phone and just be like, spirit's gonna take away how I feel. So let's connect. And they get actually excited. They get
Yeah.
actually excited. But I know personally when I feel off, I still can connect, but I would have to roll the dice on that. And I would prefer not to roll the dice on that situation if the sitter 100% wants to come to me for a specific reason. Other people can roll the dice on different things more. I know
Yeah.
that even if I'm not feeling good, I can connect psychically way easier than mediumistically. But that's just how my brain is. And so, do
Mhm.
you find you lean a certain way within your work? You're like, well, if this comes up, I still feel like I'm very strong energetically in one area. Do you find that within yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I have to be, and knock on wood, I'm like knocking.
Knocking on wood.
I
Yes.
haven't,
Double knock.
I cannot remember the last time I was sick. And having a kidney transplant almost 14 years ago, I would have thought that I would be sick all the time. And I just, even before my transplant, it's rare that I get a cold. So I literally have not been like sick in like probably 2 decades. And I'm knocking on wood. I'm not bragging about it, please. But so the most I've ever had to fight with is just being a little drained from work, when I was doing air traffic control. Um, but there's been times where I've called off a reading, because I'm like, yeah, it's not there. I don't feel up to it. And again, I'd rather have the person upset that I canceled and refunded their payment than try to push forward knowing that I'm not at my best. So I think it's just up to you as the individual. Go with what you feel, but always honor your feelings. If you're having that feeling like, I just don't feel up to this, don't put yourself through it. It's just, you got to really be honest with yourself and just learn how you work as a medium or psychic.
I agree. You have to feel some type of anchor within yourself where, okay, all right, I'm here.
Yeah.
I can do this. To consistently
Yeah.
have that experience.
Yeah.
Annette asks, or she there's like kind of a two-tail on this.
Yeah.
A statement, then she asks a question. So her statement was, I was told once that they got no response from spirit, that I have no one that wants to talk to me. I didn't get my money back. And then she asks me, how am I able to talk? How am I able to speak with spirits? Do you have to have the gift? Okay, so we'll start at the first one.
So first of all, that's 100% on the medium. 100%.
Yes.
That's them. Okay, so again, we just talked about that's on the medium. Their spirit's always there. Why would your people, that's something I can't comprehend. So you go to this reading, why would your family and friends not show up? They're there. 100% they're there. So that's the medium. 2, we all have this gift. And I don't, this is going to sound bad too, but I don't consider it a gift. And I know there's other people that talk about it this way too, but a gift does imply that it's only for certain people, where this is your birthright. You are spirit before, we have this human body now, but we're spirit. I can't comprehend that some people do and don't. It's just, again, some people have that natural ability to go, I jump around. Here's one of those moments. Baseball. Everybody can go out and throw a ball around. Doesn't mean you're going to make it to the major leagues. And there's everything in between. It's the same thing with this ability to communicate. Everybody has the ability to communicate with their people. That's 100% there. Can't argue that. Sorry. It's just a matter of learning how you communicate with spirit and how spirit communicates through you. And it's so simple. But the first obstacle is putting that human mind, getting it out of the way. We're doing an irrational thing to our human mind. Communication with spirit is completely irrational to the human. That's bar none. So you have to put that aside and just go with the irrational and just accept it. I could go into that for hours, but
we could go into, we're going to try our best, right? We're going to try our best.
Yeah.
But you said just right now, like, you have to put what you know aside, your rational brain aside. And so a lot of, and I'm curious what you want to kind of highlight within this, Michael. A lot of people are like, well, if I can't see it, or if I haven't experienced yet, then it's not there. So how is it possible? I'm not able to do it. How is it possible? You're having this experience that I'm not having.
Right.
So apparently it's not for everybody. So what do you feel within that, with people who haven't had a moment where they go, okay, oof, well, I know that's real now?
Other than experience with my sister, I've not had anything that vivid since, even doing this work. Once I understood how spirit communicates, and for me, okay, I don't see spirit physically. None of the physical senses are triggered when I work. Everything's internal. So when spirit communicates through me, it's through that voice in my head that sounds like my self-talk. But again, I know that when I put my mind to spirit, everything from that point on is them. If I hear a voice, I hear a thought, I see an image, that's coming from them. So I know this is it's so hard to keep this succinct and short. I would recommend taking a development class, um, to really just to get to know how this and how you work. A teacher will walk you through this. But realistically, if you were to just say, if you have your mom on the other side, just an example. So I reach out to mom and I just say, "Hi, mom." You're gonna get something back, but you're waiting for that vivid physical experience. And it's so subtle. Spirit communication is so subtle that you're probably gonna miss it and think, I just made that up in my mind, because that's that rational mind,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I do believe that. I mean, even so, when the more spirit work you do, the more that you are familiar with energy, it doesn't mean it gets easier.
Oh no, it gets more
It
subtle.
can it gets more subtle. Sometimes it hits you over the head,
Oh yeah.
certain times you're like, "Oh, that was cool. Like that was I really saw that. I really excuse me, I really felt that." Um there's a lot of moments that are sprinkled in that are, not just pure subtleness, but there's so many things where I go, "Oh, I'm going to get this wrong," or "I'm not sure about this one." And it was
Yep.
just another invitation to just trust.
So
So,
there you go. Annette
um
just said it. Annette, you just right there, you smell coffee. I believe it's my mom. That's your mom. Any experience you have, if you have an experience just like you did, I smell coffee, and the very next thought is, that's mom. Guess who that is? That's mom. And a lot of us will make the mistake of pushing that aside to just, no, that's just coincidence. I made that up. That's how spirit works. Did your mom play bingo? I might not be connected to your mom, but ever since you said mom is crossed, I keep seeing reference to bingo, bingo, bingo. So I'm just throwing it out there. But anyway, that's how they work. Um,
if you
yeah.
if you can connect that, Annette, I think she can't take
Okay.
that.
No worries.
It's okay.
Someone's
It's
showing me
okay.
bingo.
Bingo Rambo.
Bingo
Bingo
Rama.
Rambo.
But
But
yeah,
I do think what you said to her was very encouraging and smack dab on, because you're just saying, open that space. You smell coffee. Just go, that was my experience. And
mhm,
so I know that sometimes at random, eh, random places I would see like auras and I would see colors, and I was just like, well, I don't know if this is real. I mean, like I know it's real, but I don't know if it's real for me. This was back in the day. And so
yeah,
I go, okay, I'm going to change. I know, I really believe in my heart people can do this. And I know it's a thing, but again, for whatever reason I'm not able to consistently see this, but I'm going to believe that I can. So I started saying to myself every day, I can see auras, I can see colors, and I would look at my own aura. And me just saying it, all of a sudden, my reality opened up to it just working.
yep,
And that's what I give advice to you in. At first, you're going to be like, well, it sounds like La La Land. I'm just telling myself to look at something. Just tell yourself that it is possible. And when it happens, go, yes, that happened. And if you have a million experiences after that that don't mean a lot to you, sure. But I promise you, it's going to open up something. You just got to stick with it and just be patient. Um, and the final thing I want to say, and then I'm going to give this back over to you, Michael, is when we are with spirit and we're going and we're wondering, how do I know this is real? How do I know that the voice in my head is real? The picture in my head is real? There's many different angles. And again, it's a whole show to talk about it. But one of
yeah,
my favorite, yes, so it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But one of my favorite things to affirm within people is, if you go into your vibration, if you go into knowing yourself, like you could be doing meditation and you review your life, or you do a body scan, whatever it is, get in your energy. And so you go, this is me and this is what I feel like. Now, if something hits you across the head and you're like, what was that? That didn't feel like me. Then you start to understand you can pick up energies that are not yourself and play around with that. And that teaches you really quick of, if I know myself, if something comes to me, wow, this does not feel like myself. And
Yes.
it's positive things that you pick up too. It's not just scary. It's not.
Oh, no.
It's
No.
yeah.
But yeah, the energy thing, like you just said, that's one of the exercises that I've run through with people is just sit in a chair for 5 minutes and just feel, do the scan, like you said, just feel what's everything feel like when you're just sitting there by yourself? What sensations are you experiencing? Do that for a week, just 5-10 minutes a day, get to know that. Now the next week, sit down, do the same thing, but this time ask your guide to present during that experience, and you'll notice a change in your energy somewhere, whether you get it in your mind, a feeling. That's how you start getting those validations that, oh my God, this is real.
Yeah, we have to sit with it, because the everyday world tells us, like, okay, what's next on the agenda? I guess I need to go to the market. I guess, I have to finish what's on my list. Why isn't this happening? We're taught to look and do all these different things a certain way. And really we just have to sit and open up space for something we've never felt before. Maybe we have felt it before, but we just have to return to going, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but let me just try to be here.
Yeah.
And surrender to, I don't know what's going to happen. I think that's like the biggest helper to continue to return back to. That's just from my perspective.
Yeah.
Angela asks, if they show you how they died or passed, is it uncomfortable, difficult, traumatic? I feel it in my body, so would that feel scary?
So for me, no. It's in their energy. It's a part of what they did while they were here, how they passed. Um, so again, if they present to me how they passed, I'm going to talk about how they passed. And I don't know what it is about me, but I have quite a few people that have crossed themselves over. They come to me. I don't know. Because you'll talk to different mediums, and they have their niche, if you will. Like, I get a lot of this, or I get a lot of these cases or scenarios.
Yes,
I
definitely.
tend to get these sometimes pretty brutal ways of passing. And maybe it's just because of my life experience and what I've been through that I'm not emotionally attached to it. It's just they're providing evidence. Um, I don't experience it physically. And if you are one of those people, you can always have that conversation with yourself and your guides. It's like, you gotta you gotta tone it down a bit. I don't want to have those physical experiences. Just show me. And you'll be amazed how they will adjust, right? So for me, I don't get emotionally attached to their communication. Same thing with young children. I get a lot of young children that have passed, and my job is to stay out of it emotionally and just present, and that's difficult for a lot of people.
I think that is a great reminder of, you really can lead your energy. And yeah, we don't choose what happens to us because we're surrendering, but we can say, hey, spirit, I'm going to, have this experience more like that, if you can work with me. And
Yeah.
they're like, spirit is intelligent. They want to work with you. They're not going to be like, whatever, Michael, we're going to give it to you like this.
Mhm.
They're not going to do that. They're very compassionate. And so
Yeah.
anyone who is scared with what they're feeling, there is a way to work with energy differently.
And that's like you mentioned meditation. I've been guilty of taking probably 6 years off from meditating because I just didn't. That's a whole different topic, but I recently got back into it for the sole reason of that. It's you sitting in the space of spirit and basically, I don't know if sitting in the power is probably very common now, but for me, it's just sitting with spirit. And I think just giving your mind over to them, there's stuff going on that you're not aware of. And I think that's another way for them to get the opportunity to get to know how you work as a human so they can fine tune. Okay, I know for Michael, he's very skeptical. So he's got to see this, or he's got to feel this, or experience this, or he's going to go piss off. Don't show me a butterfly right now. What's going on? So I think it's like a 50-50 thing, if that makes
I,
sense.
yeah, I do think, like, someone was talking up a little earlier, like, no one can get it 100% accurate, and it's because things are going through our filter, and spirit knows it's going through our filter, so it's going to give us certain information, or
Mhm.
or like highlight certain information again that they know that we will pick up as
Yeah.
the medium. They'll be like, oh, they'll probably get this. They're used to that. Like, let's do that one again.
Yeah, like Michael's dense. He's really dense, so we got to hit him in the head with a 2x4 to get our point across. So
we got to say the name 4 times this time, not just one.
no,
5 times now. Yeah, it really, yeah. Hey, they have a lot of patience with us. Sunshine Girl asks, I wonder. Oh, really quick before I want to
Yeah.
give you. Where was that comment? Oh, Stephanie S said, my mom played bingo all the time. Just saying. So
Okay. I'll just throw this out here real quick because I mean, somebody's here. I'm not connecting the way I should, so take it grain of salt. But this woman that's here, I keep feeling the feeling that she passed of cancer and she would have been diagnosed in her late 30s and lived with it for a certain amount of time before she eventually passed. That's what I'm getting. I don't want to go into a full blown reading, but I can't get that thought out of my mind. So whether it connects with anybody or not, I just got to say that because that's what I'm feeling about this woman right now. So
awesome.
if it lands, great.
If it lands, it lands. If Stephanie, you're still in the house, let us know if that lands, if you can understand that. All right. So, oh, and Jennifer's like, my mom loved bingo. So, Jennifer, if you can understand that too as well. Let's see.
Courtney is saying definitely for Stephanie.
Deaf for Steph. Okay.
I'm not sure what that means.
She feels like it resonates for Stephanie. Stephanie, if you're still in the house, let us know. I know she popped in and then she popped out. So
if she watches this replay later, because now she's showing me ice cream, so I feel like ice cream was either a moment they shared, like something they did together. So I just want to leave that. So if she does watch again, it's hard when you do these shows because they're around, you're in that energy. So I try to just not get into a reading because it doesn't do it justice. But I kept feeling about that woman. Okay. Just mid 30s. I felt 37 is when she was diagnosed with a type cancer, but then she lived with it for a while before passing. So if it lands for somebody later, great. I just had to get it out because it was like gnawing at me. Like, I need to say this. So
I wish I caught it earlier. But Jennifer, thank you for letting us know that you can understand a cancer connection too. If Stephanie is still in the house, just come back later and we will connect that. So thank you though.
Yeah.
We got some hellos. Oh, someone said they can understand some of that too. Maybe it's their sister. So we're getting interesting.
And the thing is, for me, it's like I'm one of those people that it has to make sense almost like to 100%. It's like each statement because I do not try to make anything fit. So that's what I'm getting from this woman. So my aunt was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, late 30s, lived for 6 years with it before passing. Okay.
Jennifer earlier at the very beginning said she can understand it. She says she was diagnosed in her late 30s, passed at 55, and she said she understood the bingo.
There's got to be something with this ice cream because she's showing me it again. There's a connection with ice cream, and it has to be a memory, not just like, yeah, we used to eat ice cream once every 6 months. There's something specific. She wants me to talk about ice cream. And again, it's difficult not to go into a.
Yeah, it's difficult. I'm just, people started saying, oh, I think so. I would just, I was like, we're talking about it. So I'm going to bring up the comments if people can understand. So let's see. My sister had breast cancer in the third. If you can understand a bingo connection, Nancy, with a mom loving bingo and with that as well.
And I got to talk about the pet because she's showing me a dog that either recently just passed because she's showing me the pet that's with her now. So there's a pet with her that she wants to acknowledge. But yeah.
Oh,
and
this is Jennifer again. Both grandparents have passed with cancer. We have took the children all over and brought them ice creams. Okay.
And if a little bit, and that's the thing with spirit, it's just they take the opportunity no matter what. So some things may fit for you. Take that as, if you feel that's your person, take it as a visit from them. They're very, now I got some thoughts in my head. I got to shut this off.
So she
Or
is
I'm
the
just going to go
German
now.
Shepherd. She is the German Shepherd in spirit. Well, that was a little bit like the coat I was seeing
Okay.
a little bit. So there's
But
some.
yeah,
I saw.
yeah. Angela just ate it.
I'll just say there's. I know there. We almost. It was like Stephanie came and she kind of opened up this space, and so Jennifer's taking some of this information. Yeah. Okay. We'll put it out there like that. Spirits coming in the
Yep.
house
Like,
and giving us little messages. There's some type of connection with Jennifer. I wouldn't be surprised because
an
I got
August
we were
birthday.
talking.
Like right now, she showed me there's an August birthday too. That's she wants me to acknowledge. So I know we're not doing a reading show, so I'm going to stop.
Okay. Okay.
Just take that as a.
I'm just holding the space because you're giving comments and they're giving comments. I'm like, I'm just holding the space. So,
Nancy.
so there's a lot of pinging. There's a lot of pinging of like some of the people in here that they're saying, oh, I can understand these connections. It's very fascinating. It's very fascinating once you open up the space. But I do think that that's very interesting because I saw a German Shepherd like dog too as well. So it's very, very interesting. So everybody, thank you so much. We're gonna go back to some if people have
Oh yeah.
questions,
Yeah.
please let us know. If spirit pings in again, we will humbly oblige. Sunshine Girl, right before we got into this, because I brought up her question and I was like, wait a second, there's a comment in the house. So Sunshine Girl earlier said, I wonder what your ways of staying protected. What are your ways of staying protected when you practice?
Okay, so take this for what it's worth. This is me, my opinion. I had this conversation with myself like early on, okay? And I sit and there's a wall in front of me, and I'll have to show you this picture. My wife painted a picture years ago. It didn't make sense until one day I was like, oh my God, that's my spirit guides. I'll take a picture of it and I'll post it. So I'll sit here and I'll just stare at the picture of my guides, what I perceive as my guides. And I just have these thoughts and conversations. And very early on, I heard all these talks about protection. Okay. And I sat there, I'm like, what do I need to protect myself from? Now, this is just my thinking, my rationalization on this. So I think, okay, one, I have my guides on the other side. I have 3 siblings on the other side, other family members, friends. Why would they let anything affect me? And that's just, so I'm like, I always thought that was like a fear-based approach to this work. And I'm like, no, there's nothing to protect myself from. The essence of the other side is love. So I'm like, no. So I personally, this is just my personal opinion, I've never felt the need to do any kind of ritual to protect myself. Now, that being said, if you feel that's what you need to get you in that environment, in that mindset, you do you. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't. So that's just me,
Real.
but I've never felt the need to protect myself in any way. And I've never had a negative experience, none, not even close to a negative experience the entire time I've done this work. So that's just my experience.
I feel that a lot of times when we are first developing, we are letting go of the perceptions of the world. And
Yep.
there's been a lot of teachings about spiritual practices if they're not within this box of,
Mhm.
what's good, what's bad, what's, right, what's wrong. And there's so much fear that comes with it. So I know that when I was feeling energies, a lot of times I wasn't like afraid, like, oh my God, something bad's happening. But I was like, I'm afraid because I'm getting an energy that I haven't gotten 100% like thumbs up. I'm getting an energy that's different or that's
Mhm.
new. And so I wasn't doing readings at that point because I was still learning. We have to learn what's happening to us.
Right.
But that was the only time I really had like true fear. I've never had, when it comes to human energy and reading like what it means to be a human. The scariest stuff is when they're alive, not when they're past.
Exactly. I'm more afraid of humans than I ever will be a spirit. But
Yes.
you just hit it on the head, and it's about our development and learning, what this is all about. Because when something's new and you have this physical sensation that you can't explain rationally, you're like, "What the hell just happened?" But again, it just takes learning and understanding what do you experience when you're in that energy. And once it's familiar, like, "Oh, okay, that's just my guides," or "That's my sister." Like, when my sister comes close to me, I didn't catch it right away. It took me a while, but every time I mentioned her name, my left eyebrow would go numb, and I was like, "What the hell's happening?" So, I just started putting 2 to 2 together. When she draws close, my left eyebrow goes numb. So, I'm like, "Jackie's here." So,
Could have been something that happened to her.
yeah,
Yeah, as sometimes we don't know 100%, but I know, and I don't know how you feel, Michael, but the only time I was ever like, "Oh, I don't like this," if someone was coming to me with a mediumship connection, was because I was aware of like what they went through in life, and it wasn't like, "Oh, I don't like them," like, or they're, like, this is bad. It was just like, "Oh, I feel like their pain," or, "Oh, I
yeah.
feel like they didn't really." I'm aware of a time where they really, like, didn't like life, and now I'm feeling that within my body, and so, or I feel someone who's very, like, let's say, like, heavy within this world, or I might get
Yeah.
flashed some things where I go, "Oh, they were this type of person. That's really unfortunate with some of the decisions." But they're coming in to tell their loved one that. It's not because I'm like, "Oh, this is because, I'm sizing up this person." But we're aware of who they are, and sometimes it's not gonna feel so great, but that doesn't mean they're bad.
No, and that's a great point, because that's a part of the evidence in the person they are. So, if hypothetically, if I have a father coming through, okay, and he was just a raging alcoholic, physically, verbally abusive, blah blah blah. If I sit down with a client, and I say, "Oh, your dad's here, and he wants to tell you how much he loved you," and blah blah, they're gonna be like, "That's not my dad." But if I feel this is like, holy crap, and again, it's not that that's how they are now in the afterworld. This is who they were here. And that's a part of that evidence that, okay, when your dad comes in, I just feel like, oh my God, like I am drinking all the time. I'm like just I'm just not a nice person. I don't feel comfortable around this person. They'd be like, that's my dad. And as soon as that gets acknowledged, that energy dissipates. It's like, okay, that's their personality. Now they may go into other aspects of their life, right? So again, it's just all a part of that signature. Like you said, it's not that they're a bad person. They did bad things here in the physical, but that's not who they are, if that makes sense. But
Yeah, yeah,
we feel that because that's who they were.
and I guess my philosophy on it too is, um, I'm so much more than just Kelly, and I feel like you're so much more than Michael,
Mhm.
and this is just one lifetime. So
Yeah.
my one lifetime is not going to be what my spirit actually is like on the other side. But as I'm connected to this energy, the sitter, their loved one, there's a heart connection that is going to pull the spirit to us, with that identity to maintain the evidence and maintain the reading. And so, yes, there are certain things we will have to talk about, and there's heavy, heavy things in life.
Mhm.
There's heavy ways that people pass. Life can be very traumatic, but ultimately it's not, wow, I have this really evil person here and I have to protect my energy now, I have to clean my energy now. No, we're recounting something that happened in the past. that's
Right, and
that's in the past, that's done. They're in a different place, they're in a different perspective, and it's not because it's all white light holy, it's just they're not that energy anymore, they're so much more than that.
um, I've heard other mediums talk about how they will only communicate with this type person or that type person, and again, this is just my experience. It's like, I'm their voice. I'm not judging who they were, if again, random example, if somebody was a mass murderer and I have this person's daughter sitting across from me, and this is their dad, it's like, "No, I'm not talking to you." It's like, "No, I'm gonna give them the same respect from the spirit point of view as I would anybody else. It's not my place to judge them." It's like, I'm gonna give them their voice. So that's just me again. It's just, it's my philosophy, I guess, on that is just, I don't get to pick and choose. Whoever comes through, I'm going to give them the respect that, again, they may have done evil things here, but they're there now. They're coming through to maybe make amends or explain why or whatever. I'm just giving them their voice. That's it.
Right. You just gotta go, this is who we have here. And at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like talking to a person that passed needs to involve protection. I feel like people who are really working mediums and are in this work and they're evidence-based, that's what you'll hear consistently from them. There's not a problem with that. Let's see. Okay, so I think this is the last question really quick, and then we're going to transition. I think this is really fascinating. What questions have y'all asked Spirit about what comes after we pass? I think that's a really interesting one.
Very interesting. So here's my point of view. I have to say that in the 9 years that I've been doing this, I have been shown very little of the afterlife, and I think there's a reason for that. And this is a message that I've gotten from my guides and my sister and my brothers. It's like, we're here in the physical world for a reason. This is where we are. That place is there. We come from there. We're going to go back to there. This is where we need to be. Because I don't need to focus on that. I'm not supposed to remember or know, because that's going to kind of maybe distract me for what I'm doing here. So that's just my mindset on it. Is like my sister, for instance, when she first passed, I'd asked, like, what do you do? Where do you live somewhere? And she was like, I live in an apartment complex. Now, it's a very unique relationship, long story, but I never met my sister in the physical world. We had a huge age difference, and she passed while I was in the military. Long story. So I would have to get things validated from my other sister. And when I brought up the apartment, she was like, yeah, Jack, you love to live in that like communal kind of living. So I'm like, interesting. So there are little bits and pieces that they have shown me, but for the most part, it's like, I don't get to see a lot. And I think that serves a purpose. I'm supposed to be here, not worrying about there.
Yeah. And I do think it creates the surrendering of, I'm not going to have expectations with how you come to me. So what questions have you asked Spirit, and what comes after we pass? I guess to answer you, Annette, there's a lot that I receive at times, but I don't act like I ever, feel like, okay, that's exactly the answer. Because a lot of times with this work, we do want evidence to kind of go, okay, this is where I'm going. And the evidence of what comes next after this life, that doesn't always feel like, okay, that's a home run. I definitely got that. But I do feel like there are layers of reality that we experience. And I do feel like I said earlier of how we are supposed to have lessons. I do feel like we choose the experience and the layers of reality that we're in, and a lot of it is mapped out, but it's all within our free will. We chose the map, we chose the lessons, and we go, I'm going to be here for a little bit, and this is not the totality of my reality. And I do think like the universe and all is it needs to move energy to continue to exist, to continue to function, and it needs to learn about itself through inner work. And so I could go way deeper within that, but that's what I'm shown a lot. I'm not shown visuals of what the other side looks like. Some people are. I kind of get like these kind of knowings that I go, do I really know this? I feel like there's something to this. So I get like kind of these ponderings of why we're all here and what comes next. So everyone experiences it in a different way. So,
I did have one experience as you're talking. Can I share this real quick? I'll make it very brief.
No, please.
One of the guys I was in the military with, he passed away. It was weird because I was going through my kidney transplant, and he passed away like that month. And so this is probably a year after his passing. I had a visit from him. I still remember to this day. He was trying to explain to me how it is over there. and he was showing me these different vibrational levels using color. And I was like, what the heck are you? He's like, you're always dense there, so you're not going to get this, but this is how it is here. He was just trying to explain how the vibration, like you go to where your soul vibrates in that moment. And he was using color to show me the different, it was so like mind blowing. He's like, you're not going to understand this, but this is how it is. I'm like, cool.
No, I love that. I love that. And it's funny because when we think about the question like future based, what happens next, I know my mind will answer that question differently because I believe everything's happening at once.
Yep.
And so what he showed you is kind of like what's happening with our energy. And I've had experiences like that too, that where I totally am like, oh, the aura, certain parts of the aura are linked to certain parts of our energy, like with different lifetimes and how we access different points. And I like, they started showing me like geometrics and stuff. And so I think it's like, it's not like what happens next. It's what is really going on.
Yeah.
You know what I
Because we're all
mean?
vibration. I mean, it's happening now. Like you said, we just have this false reality that this is real. This is all an illusion. This is all an experience. Dr. Wayne Dyer talks about it all the time. I'm sure other people do too. We think we're solid, but if you look under a microscope, everything's moving around at a high vibration. So we're not really solid, so it's
Mhm.
like like you said, it's a wormhole we could dig in and just like keep going.
Like solid objects, like solid mass, it vibrates too. And
Yeah.
we're not really here.
Yeah.
We've just we've just been taught to be like, look over here, and we all agree it looks somewhat like this.
Yeah.
It's
So
crazy. It
it's
really is.
deep. We could go deep.
We'll we'll keep going into it. We'll keep inviting the questions. But yes, before we start to wrap the show, I love it. People are like, they're like, they say color a lot has to do with the other side. I want to talk about it further too, Courtney. I want to talk about it too. Look, we have all the we like. I wasn't even taking all the questions, but it's people are they're fired up. So
Well, thank you so
w-
much for being here, everybody. We appreciate
yeah,
it.
thank you so much. I wish we could keep going um, with what you have going on right now with group readings and private readings. What would you like people to know about the work you do before we close the show, and also where people can find you as
Yeah.
well?
So, yes, I'm on here on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. My website's michaelchristophermedium.com. I don't have any events planned right now. I really started to focus in the local area doing in person, where I was doing a lot of online. I'm probably going to try to put together a Zoom kind of group event here very shortly. I know summer, everybody wants to get out of the house, so we'll just see. I'll put feelers out there, see if there's an interest. But yeah, my calendar's open. I mainly do readings on Sundays and Mondays. Everything right now is online or via the phone. Um, and then I do 2 nights, like Wednesday, Thursday, I'll do a 6:30. I have slots on Thursday night, I think Friday night. It's on my calendar. But and then I can try to fit others in if I have the time. But all my information is there on my website. If you feeling froggy and want to go look around.
Well, please, yes. On Michael's website, you can see the work that he does, and you can book a reading with him. And you do online like readings and
Oh yeah, Facebook.
lives too as well.
I just forgot about that because I took so much time off. But yes, every second and fourth Sunday of the month, I do a live on my Facebook page, simulcasting to YouTube and Instagram. So it's every second and fourth Sunday at 7 p.m. Central. And that's also on my website. All that information is there.
And
Yep.
you do live readings
Yep.
and
Live readings, chat, question and answer. Basically like what we're doing here. It's just I just go and we just see where it goes.
so people, if you want a reading from Michael Christopher, that is a great way to look at things from just the experiential level. and have fun with it and appreciate just the naturalness of mediumship. So please go check him out through his Facebook. I always give the guest the last word. So if there's an inspiration, a favorite saying, or something that comes to you, what would you like to share?
I can't. This is so funny. Oh my God. As you're saying that, literally Bill and Ted just popped in my head and just said, be excellent to each other. And I'm like, you know what? It's kind of corny, but man, it is needed right now. It's like, we just, and I'm going with it because that's what I'm feeling. It's just like, yeah, you just need, we have to keep in mind. And I'm really mindful of this because I'm a hot-headed person. Everybody is going through something right now. We might not be aware of it, but it's like, if you just remember to be kind to people, it's just take the time to just remember, if they're angry, it's not something you did, it's something they're going through, but just keep that in mind. Just try to be nice to each other.
It's true. It's true. I love that. I love that saying. So it's not, it's not out of bounds for me. That's something relevant within my life. That saying. So I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being with us today, Michael, Christopher, and everybody. Please have a fantastic rest of your week. I will see you on Friday for the numerology hour. We'll be working with the numbers, taking readings. Take care until then. Please go with love, luck, light, and don't forget to live until I see you next. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.